Just let me know when you're here. Sit. Down. Down. Lift the paw. Good. Good job. Let me know when you guys join. I'm going to give folks a few more minutes to join, and I'm going to go grab something. Make sure you have your training treats ready and grab your dog's food bowl. Hi, Jen. Hi, Adri. So there's a bit of a delay. I'm going to go ahead and start with reviewing some of what we went over last week. This class is going to be a little different for some of you. For some of you, I know your dogs and I know what training they've had in the past, so you might find this class a little bit different because I'm going to be teaching things that you might have already learned with me in a different way. And I may show a couple of ways you can teach. So last week we chose a marker and we chose a release word. So hopefully you have your release word. If you want to type it in, that would be helpful. Type the release word that you're using. Some people use, if they're waiting and you need to release them, you can use the word okay, or you can just kind of mark it. I'd prefer to just use a different word so that if you're marking something like a stay, they don't necessarily think it means to get up and come to you. But some people, if their marker word is good, they use yes. If your marker is just a clicker, then your release word could be okay. So let me know what you've chosen as your release word. And if you haven't chosen one, choose one now. And if everybody can type their release words in the comment section, that'll help me out a little bit. Okay. Now, we worked on last week having your dog wait until the food got to his mouth rather than jumping up for it. So bringing the treat down over his head, making sure he just waited till it was released to his mouth, bringing it side to side, bringing it in all different ways and all different levels of excitement. So that was a first start to impulse control. And then we also started making your dog say please for his resources. And at this stage, saying please only means that he needs to sit. We're going to add in a higher criteria later for that, but for now, your dog is just sitting. So it's very basic last week. This week, we are going to teach your dog to wait at the food bowl, and I'm going to teach it differently, two different ways. For some of you, you may have value in changing up the way that you taught your dog originally to do this, because since it'll be new, it'll be another way, just another way to gain that impulse control. So you might want to, if I'm teaching it two different ways, you might want to go back and teach it the way your dog doesn't know it. There might be some value in that. And we're also going to discuss a program called Smart 50. So we're going to put that into place this week. It's less about training mechanics, but more about ways to encourage your dog to do the things you want in a more passive way. So before we get started, I just want to remind you that the content is pay what you can. If you are unable to pay during this time, that's fine. We're just happy to have you. Another way you can support me is by sharing the group, inviting your friends and family. If there's something specific that I'm talking about or doing that you think people could benefit from, sharing that on your social media or other groups that you might be in would be a great help. My Venmo is at Heather-Gutschall-1. My PayPal is paypal.me/Heather Gutschall. Okay, so let's start with Smart 50. Let me see. Okay. Thank you, Jen, for letting me know that. Okay, so Smart 50. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of, can you see this ridiculousness? I don't know if any of you have ever heard of the program Smart 50. It was created by Kathy Sato. And I actually don't use it a ton, but I think in this case with building up impulse control, it's a great way to basically shape and capture, more capturing, I guess, behaviors that we want to see. I think all too often we focus on treating behaviors that we don't want, right? Extinguishing jumping, barking, teaching potty, teaching to do this or to do that, or not to do this or not to do that. But we kind of forget that if you reinforce behavior, it makes it happen more often. So we need to think on the other end about reinforcing behaviors that we want. So, and that may be something as subtle as you're reading a book and your dog is laying beneath you on the floor. That's a chance to mark and reward. If you are eating at the dinner table and your dog is laying down and not looking at you, and that's what you want them to do, mark and reward. If your dog is on a walk and it sees another dog in the distance and does nothing, mark and reward. Even if these are behaviors that your dog always does, you're just going to, by marking, you're going to increase the probability that those behaviors will occur again. So, and it can work to extinguish other behaviors or provide incompatible behaviors. So, if your dog barks at the mailman, if your dog, you make a noise and the dog comes to you, mark and reward that. These are not cued behaviors. It's just reinforcing things that your dog is doing, and you're capturing calm, you're capturing composure, and those desired behaviors. So SMART 50, SMART stands for see, mark, and reward training. It's basically rewarding your dog for doing nothing. If you have a puppy and that puppy's being really annoying, don't forget that when he's not being annoying, that's a great time to mark and reward. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to count out 50 pieces of kibble, if your dog will work for kibble, if not lower value treats. This isn't anything that needs a high value treat, but the dog should be interested. and you're gonna put 50 of them in a bowl on the counter in the morning. Just take it from the food your dog would have been eating, so they may have a little less in their dinner and breakfast bowl. Your challenge is to mark and reward 50 behaviors that you like, 50 things that you like. I like that, so I would mark and reward it. You want to make sure that your timing is really great. You don't want to come in with the treat as your dog's looking up at you. They'll just be thinking they're being reinforced for looking up at you. So there's where we use our marker training. So I'm going to try to do this before he looks up. I'm going to mark it now. And then give the food. He knows that means food's coming. But the marker, the word or the sound, means that's what I'm marking. That's what I want to see more of. If we just did it this way, he would think, oh, looking up at the treat bag is what I want to see more of. So you're going to want to keep treats on you all the time. If you can, maybe in a Ziploc bag in your pocket. Make sure that you're thinking of this as taking a picture of your dog. So you walk into a room and you see your dog maybe chilling on a mat. Kind of take a mental picture of that. That is the behavior you're marking, not him coming to you because you're like, oh, good boy. No. Before your dog knows you're going to do anything, mark and then reward. By the time you mark, he'll have connected that to the food and he'll be happy that he's getting the treat, and that's fine. But you're going to mark it before he knows you have any intention of doing so. That will make him think, wow, laying here on the floor can pay off. Remember, you're marking the exact moment. So he is the exact moment that you verbally or mark with an auditory sound. That is the behavior that you're reinforcing. What else? Brand new puppies. This is a really great for puppies because they do so many annoying things. So it's a great way to find all those little ways that they're not annoying you rather than focusing on the ones that are. That will also make you less annoyed by the puppy because then you're going to be like, oh, all these, you're going to, whether you have a puppy or an adult dog or a senior, you're going to start to realize, wow, my dog does a lot of good things, right? And I'm going to help to build his confidence and build our bond by marking and rewarding all those good things rather than working on the bad things. So it's a great way to use positive reinforcement to help your dog learn behaviors that you really, really want to see happen again. Okay. If you have questions about Smart 50, you can type them in. I'll look at them at the end. Or if we run out of time before I need to prep for the live Q&A that happens at 6, you can ask them at that time as well. Okay, moving on. You can also Google Smart 50 probably for more information on it. There's a few things I'm not having you do with regard to this program, but you can go back and watch the video again if you need to. I'm going to turn on the light because I feel like it's getting a little dark in here. Okay, thank you for staying. That was a really good stay. Okay, so wait at the food bowl. Like I said, a lot of you probably already do this. Making a dog wait at the food bowl is one of the best and easiest ways to build impulse control. So Sesame does know this, but he doesn't know the way to do it the second way I'm going to teach. So I know a lot of you have learned it my way or with other trainers that are probably teaching it the way that I teach it. I'm going to go through that quickly and then show you how to build it up, because the building up portion is what we want for this class, because a lot of you have taken basic classes or have already taught this on your own. So I'm just going to show you the things you can do to build this up and have him go through and show you how I taught it, but I'm going to teach you a different way. Okay. That's nice. Come. Drop some treats in. One cue to do everything. So if he needed to sit, I would have done one cue to sit, but he doesn't need it because we have chained a sit on the end of his command. Wait. He has to He has to look at me. And they didn't do anything wrong when that happens. It just means that you start over. Wait. So that's one way you can do it. Okay. All right, I'm finished. I didn't realize I put that much in. Oh, you're almost done. Thank you. Okay. Another way to work on building it up is, again, use the 3 Ds. I talk about the 3 Ds of jog training: distance, duration, distraction. So I'm going to do a little distance now because he already knows how I've taught this. I'm going to go back and show you how I taught it after. Wait. Okay. So that's distance. You have to slowly build that up by like stepping away once, stepping all the way back, and saying your release word. I need to put less in there. Duration. Wait. Do. Say like a lot of time has passed. Sometimes I'll go. Wait. So you're just doing duration. We actually never work in this room for his food stuff, so this is a great example of how dogs don't generalize the way that we do. If this was in the kitchen, he'd be on point. So that's an interesting point. Try feeding him on all the different rooms to build it up. Wait. So the duration piece is where they're just waiting for you for a while, right? And then you release. Okay. I only put 3 kibble in right now. We'll see if that's better. Yeah. Okay, and then the next one would be distraction. Wait. And he didn't do it, but you get the idea. He's not built up in this room, but hopefully that shows you how to build up distance, duration, distraction. We do that with every command that we build up, and what you need to remember when building up distance, duration, and distraction is that you don't try to work on distance and distraction in one rep till they actually have it. So like, one of the things we were working on this week is me putting the food bowl down while turning around and washing one dish, putting it in the dishwasher, turning around and releasing. So he got to one dish. So, and that's with my back. So that's built up a lot for him, right? Because at first you're just standing there. So the way that I taught, the first way that I teach weight at the food bowl, which is the way that a lot of you probably have learned it and the way that I teach it in my classes, looks like this. 1 cue to sit, 1 cue to wait. You drop in 2 or 3 kibble in a way that they can hear it hit the bowl. At the beginning, I usually keep my hand up so that they kind of understand what they're doing. I start to go like this. The dog's butt is going to pop up because he's used to just going right for the bowl, right? When he does, no big deal. Stand back up. 1 cue to sit, 1 cue to wait. Maybe and I leave this up as a hint. Maybe this time they get to hear before he pops up. Don't get mad. Everything's fine. It's just a learning process. Okay. 1 cue to sit, 1 cue to wait. Maybe the next time they get down to here before he pops up. Great. 1 cue to sit, 1 cue to wait. Get down to here. He's going to pop up. He's drooling. So you just take it back up again. 1 cue to sit, 1 cue to wait, with the goal being that you have stood all the way back up and then release. So it would look like this. Okay. And it's a slow process. In my group classes, we can usually get that within about 10 minutes, but that's with the help of the Handsome Dance Rescue volunteers and shelter dog enrichment specialists and me coming around. So if you need help with that, go back and watch it again. This is another way I want to teach it. And I would say, it's just since it's a different way, go ahead and try it. So this one, you have the food in the bowl. I still like to break it up, so maybe do this with, a third of his food, then a third of his food, then a third of his food. You're going to stay down low this time. Let me move him to where you can see him. Okay. You're going to stay down low. They're already going to be sitting. 1 cue to wait. And you're going to use your hand for each time. So it's going to look like this. No, he's not going to go for it because he just knows that we don't do that. But you're going to do your hand. Each time your dog goes in for it, cover the bowl again. until your dog has either looked away or kind of backed off. The bowl should be there and available, and they choose not to go for it. And each time that they do, because if they don't know this, each time they go for it, they're not in trouble. This is the learning process. You just give them one more cue to wait and start to take your hand off. He won't go for it, hopefully, right now. And then make them wait for a second. Yeah, see, he doesn't know this, so it's a little weird for him in this context. Make them wait for a second before they take it. Like I said, I've never done this with him before. Okay, okay, and if they're doing that, you can just put them back into a sit. Up into a sit. Come on. Good. Wait. Okay, so he's off. So then I hadn't released him. Pull it back up. Wait. And then I would say, okay, I'm not going to let him eat this whole bowl. So say he went through and did that. On the next time you feed him, it should look like this. Wait. 1/1000. Okay. And I was a little late on that. See how he kind of got up? I should have picked that up and held it again. I want him not getting up till I ask him. So let's try again. Sit. Wait. Wait. Okay. Now, you're probably thinking, but you didn't stand up. Right. So you build to that a different way. Once they're already leaving the bowl in this particular way to teach wait at the bowl, then you slowly start to stand up. And if they're going for it, you can use your hand at your foot. So it would look like this. Wait. And you might get like to there, and then you have to put your hand back. This way, you're not picking it up a bunch. You're covering it. Okay. Wait. So say I got to there and he started to paw at it, I would just go back down and cover it. Wait, and say I got to here, then I might just use my foot. If your dog has resource guarding issues, possessive aggression, anything like that, do not do this exercise. I can work with you privately on how to modify it for that. Those dogs need it though, so we should talk privately. Okay, so once you've kind of got this, it's gonna look like so. Pretend like this is like a third of his meal. Wait. Oh, I should have put my hand. Ignoring that because I don't want that, so we're just going to ignore it. Wait. Nice. Then we start to stand up. And he got up, so one cue to sit. Sess. Whoops. Oh, you got one. Sit. Wait. Try to get him back into sit. Sit. Wait. Okay, so it'll kind of look like that. I mean, obviously the first way to teach them is easier, but for the sake of impulse control, here's another way you can build something else up, and then you can kind of alternate what you do. So the goal being, I'll do it without him there, you're down low with them, one cue to sit, one cue to wait. The bowl's there, you're covering it and taking your hand off, covering it and taking your hand off, and if you need to, you can pick it back up, which will encourage them to get back in a sit if they already know to wait for their food. So you're again like this. The goal is you work really slowly, and every time they bounce up and try to go for the bowl, do not get frustrated. They're just learning. You give them one more cue to sit. If it's needed, if they're already sitting, you give them the cue to wait. You get all the way up and then release. And then the next day, you get all the way up, count 1 second, then release. The next day, it's 2 seconds, and so on and so on. And that's going to be the same. Come. That's going to be the same if you're doing it this way. 1,000. Okay. Which is the way I generally teach. So hopefully that makes sense. We are going to, this is going to be a building class. So it's really important that if you miss a session, that you go back and watch it before you miss the next one, because we're going to build on this stuff over the weeks. Like getting the dogs to back off from the treat, you know, that we did coming in last week. That's going to be built upon as the weeks go on. This food bowl thing, it's going to be built. So you're going to want to go in order, and you're going to, if you missed a class, just go back and watch the video. It's totally fine. Okay. So I'm going to look at questions. I do have to look at the questions on my phone. I don't know, for those of you that tuned in last night, for Sesame's Facebook Live, I was having an enormous amount of audio issues, but I think I got that figured out by downloading Chrome Beta, so we'll see. All right, I'm looking at the comments. I'm trying to mark and reward, not barking at the neighbor. Can I mark and toss the treat before he turns to look at me? The moment that he takes a breath, you mark. When he turns to look at you, it's too late. So because then he thinks, he's being marked, you're capturing the behavior of him turning back to you. So that's the same as like when we're capturing behaviors that we want. I want that laying on the ground. But now I can't mark it, right? So I have to wait till he lays back down again, because that's not what I wanted. I want the chill, then give him the food. So the marking is happening at the time that the behavior is happening. It's you taking a snapshot of that picture. The timing is critical. So the moment that your dog stops barking, mark, then worry about getting him the treat. The treat comes later because our timing is awful as humans. So that's why we're using marker training in these classes. So barking, bark, 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 bark. He stops even for a moment, mark, then reward. And he may go right back to barking. And then you have to, at the beginning, you have to wait just till they take a breath. Like, bark, 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 bark. You can mark during that split second. And if you sit and do 10-minute sessions of that, or however long they happen, you're going to make the quiet time more exciting, because then they get the food. If it's not improving, you need to up the value of the food. But that's a good question regarding timing. With our Smart 50 program, we have to capture, mark the thing we want, not when they look at us for the thing, for expecting the treat. So I don't know, I can't see. I'm going to show a couple more times with him. So the behavior I want is him completely relaxed, right? He's got a little anxiety. As you know, he's constantly getting in my treat pouch, so I'm going to completely ignore him. Sorry, I know you can't see my head. But I'm just going to talk and ignore him until he offers a behavior that I want to reinforce, and thereby making it more likely that behavior will happen again. Staring at me and panting is not what I want. So this is a little bit of elements of anxiety, a little bit of demand. Ooh, there's some demand behaviors. He's pawing at the treat pouch. So we're going to ignore that. And this is really fun. You can get everybody involved as long as their timing is good. So when he does something that is ignoring me, because he's getting a little too like hyper bonded, I would mark and reward that, like that laying down that you saw. I'll sit down here so you can see me a little bit better, and we'll just kind of wait for it. What else? So let's think of other things that you can mark and reward through the Smart 50. How about if they bark in the yard and you just notice them not barking? Before they know you're there, mark. But if you open the slider to mark, they know that then they're no longer in that relaxed position. So it doesn't make sense to mark it, right? So you have to be in a proximity to them where you can mark it before they know you're going to do anything related to them. So I'm just looking for him to get bored, which some of y'all might be doing since we're kind of rambling at this point. All right, well, I think you guys understand. If he does it organically, we'll mark it. So you're going to continue working on upping the arousal level with keeping your dog having 4 feet on the floor and their head centered while you're bringing treats in all kinds of different ways. Skipping and jumping and singing and all that stuff, building up impulse control. Right, so the behavior I wanted. And he's like, what? But over a few weeks, they're going to be more likely to offer the behaviors that you want. You're going to be working on that. Obviously, the Smart 50, waiting at the food bowl. At this stage, they don't have to look at you. That's going to come later. They just have to wait, adding seconds to it. I mean, if they have to stare at it and vibrate, that's okay. At this stage, that's all we're doing. Yeah. Working on your release word when you need to use that. Okay. If you think, oh, that's unattractive. That's not good. Okay, if you think of any questions that you haven't asked, you can ask them now or come back to my live Q&A. What time is it? That starts in exactly 30 minutes. Let me look at the questions again. Okay, I think we're good. All right, happy training. Have a nice rest of your Thursday night, and I will see you back here the same time next week.